Hi, and welcome to my channel, Laura's Library Card. So today I'm going to be discussing sort of a little mini life update and also a book review on Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. So my life has been a little busy this last week, the first week of August. Not only am I going to be participating in 2 month-long readathons for the month of August, but I kind of jam-packed the first week of August with like bookish related events. So Monday I had recorded stuff that was supposed to go live on Tuesday, and then Tuesday I participated in a live show where it was like a read along with a bunch of romance booktube people. It was really cool. I was kind of nervous because I was like, oh, I have to talk to these people who I watch and who I'm subscribed to, and it's like, whew, okay, don't fangirl, we're cool. And it was really cool. We just kind of sat around and read and we chit-chatted, and it was a good talk. And then Wednesday I recorded my buddy read with my cousin Nicole from See Nicole Read. I'll go ahead and put a link up here to our final video. We were doing a buddy read of You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson, and we both really liked the book and we had a good discussion. And then after we were done recording, we kept talking for like another 2 hours, which was great. But at the same time, I was like, okay, it's bedtime and I never got my Tuesday video up. Yikes. And then Thursday, I had a session of Dungeons and Dragons with my family, and it was, with my friends and family, and it was really good. I'm glad I got to play, and that's sort of our weekly thing, but like, then I still didn't have my Tuesday video out. So I finally managed to get that final cut edited and put live on Friday, but it kind of, all my evenings for the week kind of took away from reading time and took away from booktube production time. And then even yesterday on Saturday, I had a voice chat with my Wheel of Time Discord group on discussing the first half of the book that we're reading, which is the second book in the Wheel of Time series, which is The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. So that was a really great discussion because everyone's like showing all the things that I'm missing in reading this book and saying, oh, don't forget about that part where this really important thing happens. And I was like, that's important? Okay, great, thanks. Noted. So I'm really happy we keep having these voice chats, but like, I'm also kind of like, when am I gonna have time to read? Also, you know what else happened this week? I reached 100 subscribers. Oh my gosh, I'm so like, I can't even believe that that is the case, that I've reached 100 subscribers in such a short time, and I never thought it was going to happen, and I want to thank all of you for making that happen. I don't really like watch my subscriber count. I just want to like talk about books and put it out there. So I don't know, I've seen other people who like do Q&As or who do giveaways or something, so I don't really know what I want to do, but I am like overjoyed that I have enough people on YouTube who actually give a crap about what I think. So if you have any questions that you want answered, I guess go ahead and leave them down in the comments. Otherwise, enjoy this awkward picture of me from my youth. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you're watching this, do it. It's cool. 100 other people think so too. Tell you about Boyfriend Material. I'm going to do a little book review for you. I'm going to try my hardest to make this spoiler free. If I think of something that I have to say that is a spoiler, I will give you a warning about it. So the book is Boyfriend Material, and the author is Alexis Hall. I read this for the first week of August, and I found it delightful. It was one of those books I couldn't put down. So the premise of this book is that the main character, his name is Luc. He is English, and he kind of has a bad reputation because his parents were both musicians and his dad's like a literal rock star. And so he's always kind of grown up like on the fringes, like tangentially famous. So the tabloids are sort of interested in him because he's tangentially famous, and early on in the book he is photographed, and it is not great for his reputation. And so for work-related reasons he needs to spruce up his image. So one of his coworkers and friends say, if you had a nice, respectable boyfriend, then your image would be improved. So this book has fake dating because Luke tries to get and maintain a like fake boyfriend relationship with our other main character, who is Oliver. So that's sort of the premise. I don't feel like I gave anything away there. My overall effect for this book was that I really, really, really enjoyed it. I had the ebook, and it's kind of dangerous when I have something on ebook because then I have my phone with me like all the time, and then I'm reading at work when I should be working, or I'm staying up in bed really late and I should be sleeping. And that was the case with this book. With Boyfriend Material, I could not put it down. I thought it was so funny. And I know that it's like a British humor, and so sometimes there were probably little moments that kind of like went over my head. But I was laughing out loud, and I'm not usually more of a kind of person, and this book really was making me crack up. The other thing is that the main character of Luke was it was really funny when Oliver and Luke have their like first date, and Oliver was like, "Oh, is it Luke?" And he's like, "No, it's Luke. It's Lucien." And he was like, "Oh," and Oliver like pronounces Lucien like perfectly, and Luke is just like, "Oh, soon." But it reminded me of that scene in the Meg Ryan movie French Kiss where the main male character's name is Luke, and she's like, "Oh, you mean Luke?" And he's like, "Luke." So that was like what was running through my head every time I saw our main character's name. But anyway, I digress. Luke is adorable. Like he's kind of screwed up. He's downtrodden. He's kind of had previous bad relationships. He's not on, he has some things from his childhood that he's like messed up about. He's kind of a screw up. But he definitely puts his foot in his mouth multiple times in this movie, and he just kind of keeps messing up. But at the same time, Luke is such a little cinnamon roll. He is so adorable. Like I multiple times was kind of like cringing when I was reading it, and I was just like, come on, you messed up, kid. But at the same time, I was like, I just wanted to like give him a big hug. Like I felt for him, and I really appreciated his growth throughout the book. He kind of realizes some of the like coping mechanisms he's used in the past, and I think that shows us as the reader like how soft he is. He has this like wall up and a little bit of armor, but it's very easy to kind of hurt him, and he's so cute and precious, and I loved Luke as a character. Oliver is the fake boyfriend, and Oliver is sort of the opposite of Luke. Oliver is a barrister, and he's proper, and he's sort of stiff upper lip, and early on I definitely kind of sort of thought of him as arrogant and pushy and a real stick in the mud, which is how Luke sees him too. But then like we see how Oliver is actually like kind of a tender person, and how he genuinely treats Luke with like real like human decency, and that shows to us also how downtrodden Luke is, because like even when Oliver's just being like kind of a nice guy, like he's not like super going above and beyond to do anything amazing, but Oliver does something kind of nice for Luke, and Luke is just like, oh my gosh, like Oliver's such a good guy. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Luke, you're so like, you poor thing. But also we could see how Oliver wasn't just like this like holier than thou kind of character, because he really was being good for Luke, and he was trying to help Luke in a way that was not too pretentious for me. I really enjoyed Oliver. He was sort of this like token grumpy character. The other characters in the book are Luke's parents. His mom is really great. She's kind of weird, but like she's so loving. And his dad is sort of a character in the book, and he's a jerk. Don't really have much more to say about that. And then Luke has a bunch of characters a bunch of friends who are all kind of quirky, and that was sort of the one thing that I didn't love about this book. I felt like his friends, while being super supportive and always being there for him, for Luke, and for Oliver, I felt like his friends were a little too quirky. They each had their own like thing going on, and it just kind of bugged me. But at the same time, they rallied for Luke and Oliver. But like at the same time, I was just, I don't know. That was like one part that I was like, meh about, including Luke's co-worker Alex, who was just like super arrogantly like dumb. Like most of the time it worked as like a funny thing, but like I wanted a little bit more payoff for Alex, and that never really resolved itself for me. This isn't really a plot-driven book because it's a romance, but the plot that was there was good, and I felt like usually the plot served to enhance the hilarity and helped advance the two main characters' romantic relationship. And of course, it's a fake dating, trope, and so of course they start falling for each other because that's what all good fake dating tropes lead to. I will say this book is not really steamy. It's sort of a like fade to black, somewhat behind closed doors regarding sex stuff. But I thought it was done pretty well. I wasn't looking for anything that was too explicit. And I felt like the writing about the intimate scenes was good regarding like their connection. So it was like sweet instead of steamy. And I am going to mention here, it's not really a spoiler, but I'm going to say that I'm happy that the end ended where it did. There was no cheesy 5-year later epilogue. There was no, I don't know, it's something that didn't happen, so it's not a spoiler, but like kind of, I guess, slightly spoiler alert. There was no like dramatic wedding proposal. There was no huge dramatic gesture of like winning each other back. They just both kind of resolved to make things work, and they both resolved that like this is something that they wanted, and then they were like, great, let's be together. And I found that really refreshing because I feel like a lot of romance books that I read get to that point, and then they're like, then there's like one more chapter or there's an epilogue, and suddenly they're like, and 8 gazillion roses fall from the sky and they're married. Or it's like 5 years later in the epilogue, she bounced her 8 sets of twins on her lap, and I'm just like, why does every single one have to end with like a marriage and a baby? And like, I get it, that's part of the romance genre, but like I really appreciated how Boyfriend Material had them get together in the end, and they were clearly like, I love you, we're in a committed relationship, we're gonna do this, but like, that's it. Like, it ends with a big dramatic kiss, and that's it. Like, there's no super cheesy forced ending. So all in all, I found Boyfriend Material to be delightful, enjoyable, funny, sweet and tender. I liked both of our main characters. I felt like there was really good like sexual tension, even though there wasn't like a steaminess factor. It was really well resolved for me. I'm going to give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is amazing. I think it will be on my like eventually want to reread list. It didn't quite make 5 stars for me just because I don't know how long lasting this book is going to have an effect on me, but I super enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend if you are interested in male romances with a lot of witty banter and the fake dating trope. If you have read Boyfriend Material or anything else by Alexis Hall, I definitely want to check out more of the author's other books and works. If you have anything to say about Boyfriend Material, if you hated it or you loved it, please comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all the YouTube interaction things. I super appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!